The Democrats' $4.3 trillion budget reconciliation and the $1.5 trillion so-called infrastructure bills are bad for a lot of reasons. But did you know the nearly $6 trillion Democrats want to spend will be used to target conservatives and our values? Let me explain. Do you remember under Obama, the IRS was caught red-handed targeting and harassing patriot and conservative organizations based on their political views? Just recently, the IRS leaked the personal information of conservative donors. Biden must have loved that because now he wants to give the IRS an additional $80 billion to double the number of bureaucrat bullies that'll target conservatives. Democrats have even included a provision giving the IRS increased access to the personal bank accounts of every single American. Yep, they're hiring thousands of IRS agents to keep you and your bank account in check. And don't forget the Ivy League schools, or should I call them socialist indoctrination camps, where they hire atheists as chaplains and silence conservatives. Actually, sounds a lot like Congress.
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Bertudo Jetta here, and wow, I just sustained more brain damage watching that clip than I did from a couple of explosions that I sustained in combat that left me with TBI. The stupidity raging from this woman's mouth really is remarkable. Not a word, not a single syllable she just uttered was true or made an ounce of sense. I'm actually struggling to wrap my head around the fact that this washed-up, failed model ex-convict is a sitting member of Congress. I want everybody to do me a favor after watching this clip, and of course liking it. I want you all to Google Lauren Boebert's criminal record. Her rap sheet is longer than what little public education she was able to sit through, which is not that long considering she didn't even graduate from high school. How on earth, ladies and gentlemen, can we allow a person to be elected to Congress without even a high school diploma? Unlike Boebert, I didn't make up a single thing that I just said. But since I'm being forced to, I have to address what this Jacqueline basically just uttered. Do you guys actually think that this infrastructure bill is just going to fix Democratic bridges and not conservative bridges? This is an infrastructure bill that is going to help rebuild America. In fact, more of the money is actually headed to rural America than we have seen in decades. Boebert talks about the IRS targeting conservatives, but what she doesn't realize is that the IRS is going after people that don't pay their taxes. And based on her lengthy criminal background, it looks like that includes her and her husband. Lauren Boebert is the quintessential example of what happens when dumb people get elected to Congress.
This is for Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham and the rest of the Republican senators. You guys are the reasons why we are losing Republican races all over the country. And this is your third loss in my home state. So let me inform you on behalf of Georgia, this is your third strike and you're out. You don't belong in our state running key races anymore. No, thank you. We don't want your help.
Yeah, but this is, your eyes are not deceiving you. This is the video you just saw. Marjorie Taylor Greene saying that Herschel Walker lost, not because he can't speak English, not because he was the most flawed candidate maybe to ever run for the Senate, but because they didn't put Marjorie Taylor Greene on the campaign trail with him enough. The two of them combined are so stupid that maybe it actually would have been a good idea, because maybe two stupid people talking back to back would cancel each other out and it would make a lot of sense. All of a sudden it would be soaring oratory, the level of Lincoln in the Gettysburg Address. Obviously that's impossible. It would just be a much more incoherent mess. And I wish they had done it, because God, the videos I could have done, and now I have to do one just after the loss, of Marjorie Taylor Greene saying that she should have been on the campaign trail. Now, would have helped somebody else win office. Do you understand? Marjorie Taylor Greene is one of the dumbest people I've ever seen in the public square, I've ever seen in public service, and that's a very, very low bar I'm talking about. There are some very dumb people that have run. Even in this statement, she said, "I was never asked very often."
Let me let you know something, Steve. I was never asked very often by the Herschel Walker campaign to come speak at any of his campaign events. They only asked me to come to maybe two or three in my own district when he was campaigning all over the state running for Senate. But they only asked me a couple of times in my own district, which I find extremely insulting.
No, she was never asked very often. She also was always asked never often. And if you didn't know this, she also was sometimes asked a medium amount of no times. And no times was she asked a lot of times, except the 2 times or 3 times when she was asked. And in those instances, she was barely asked. And if she had been asked more or less, things could have turned out better or worse. and probably for sure worse. The hubris of this woman thinking that she would have been a value add on the Herschel Walker campaign, which already was one of the great disasters of all time, is hilarious to me. The fact that she thinks she would have added anything whatsoever of value is delightful in its stupidity. Not that Mitch McConnell's a great add to anything. He's not. Nor Lindsey Graham or Ted Cruz. Those are all a bunch of losers. Also negatives on the Herschel Walker campaign, which was in and of itself a gigantic negative. But Marjorie Taylor Greene, the gaffes would have been extraordinary.